little gangster lean on the camera. No, it looks fine.
Okay.
No opener this week. We're just going to roll into it. Got tired of doing openers.
Yeah.
What's been good, man?
It's been a wild week. It's been a wild week. Started a new project with my company. So I'm relearning people, acronyms, all the things that go along with it.
Dude, the acronyms are crazy.
Drinking from a fire hose, especially when different organizations use the same acronym for different things.
Oh, yeah.
And to reprogram my brain.
We use a lot of like cover terms, like code words. And it's like they just restructured them. And none of them make sense, which I guess is the point.
Yeah.
So you're always just like, what is that again? I think this is the emails to the wrong person. And they're like, nope, it's you. That's this. And I was like, shit, sorry. Because I just can't write it down anywhere, so we're never going to know. I might have a whiskey. I haven't had whiskey in a minute. I'll do some Old Forester.
It's a good choice.
Yeah, I wanted to record because my brain's been like all over the place lately, and I wanted to talk about some of it.
Let's talk. Well, before we do that, let's. We haven't recorded since before CWE, and we did not attend CWE as vendors this year, but you got a chance to go. Same as it usually is. Anything fun? Anything different?
Yeah, it was a good time. The weather Friday was kind of cloudy. Saturday was sunny and nice. We did Friday. I just hung out at Brittle Bank. No, Friday we went to Marion Square, did the Birds of Prey thing, and then Sean Brock's new restaurant is across the street. It's called Joyland, and I think that's a horrible name. I think it's that's what happens when you're rich and famous. And you're like, what do you guys think? And everybody's like, yeah, I love it. Everything you do is gold. But
Nobody
it
wants
kind
to
of looks
tell you
like
it sucks.
Have you seen it?
No.
Dude, I have no choice. I got to pull it up. But the logo, it looks like well, I'll wait until I get it here. Joyland. The original crust burger. All right, so check this out. This is share screen, Joyland. So here's Joyland.
I just pulled up the website. That is an eyeful.
It looks like because of all like the crayons. I don't know. It's supposed to be his play on fast food, but to me, it looks like a place that pedophiles would go hang out. Just like, you know what I mean? Like there should be little kids there, and then like hey, this is Joyland.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not talking shit.
Not the greatest name choice.
The line though, when we walked in, the line was pretty much to the door.
Oh, maybe they know something we don't.
I don't know how many people that would be 30, 40 ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I stood there for 5 minutes.
Or is it like a sit-down restaurant take on fast food?
It looks like a Wendy's or something.
Really? Okay.
But it's like Sean Brock. Those that don't know him, he's a famous chef here, owned Husk, and he put a bunch of restaurants on the map. And
yeah,
such a crazy chef. I mean, he pretty much went crazy, went blind, because he was stressed out and working so hard, and then he eventually just left. And he's feeling better and healed up, and so that was his first thing back. But yeah, the guy that was in line checking out, I stood there for 5 minutes and the guy never moved. He was still like, let me see. It's like, dude, you just stood in line for an hour. You didn't look at the menu.
Didn't look at the menu.
So the line didn't move for 5 minutes. I'm looking at the tables. All the tables had numbers on it, like they were waiting on food. So I'm not doing this today. So we left, but, we went back to, Brittle Bank, hung out for the day. And then we had the Quail Forever dinner Friday night. And that was a great time. Andrew Beam played and I got to sit with, they always give me and Caleb a table. So we donated a bunch of calls and whiskey and whitetail stuff. And Caleb paired it with some bottles and they did some auction. And I bought a $300, $80 Kershaw knife. So that's cool.
Nice.
$300. And the knife came with a tag to win a staccato. And you know how much I've wanted one of those.
Yeah.
But it also came with like 3 packs of raffle tickets. But I didn't win anything. So
that's unlike you.
Yeah. Pretty shocking. Saturday, we just hung out at Brittle Bank the entire day. And then Saturday night, the Carolina Marsh Tackey Association was there and they camp kind of like with the horses. They can't leave the horses. So
yeah.
Once the show shut down, we walked over there and me and Peter from Burnt Church and we hung out with him most of the night. And then
nice.
We were leaving, and as we were walking through, it was the Low Country Social, so I may have had a beer or two.
Right.
We didn't buy tickets to it, so I didn't want to. Oh,
of
we brought our
use.
own beer actually, so I didn't even have a beer, but I got to meet some of the Onyx guys and
Oh,
talk
that's
for a
right.
while.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's cool.
Gave him some cool stories. It's a good chat, and then Sunday it rained, so I didn't go Sunday.
Yeah,
But it was a
we
good time.
we were considering going, but it was only going to be on Sunday if we could, and I wasn't dragging the kids out and all that
Yeah.
nasty stuff. So,
You know how gross that place gets when it rains.
oh yeah, it's a mud fest. It's gross.
Absolutely mudfest. Yeah.
Cool.
It's about it. We're lucky. Got a lot of good friends in the area, and
Yeah.
we were hanging out with we were just hanging out with a bunch of people. It was a good time. It was like
Cool.
every time you turn around, you're with somebody, and then they know somebody, and then you meet them, and we kept saying dude, I think that we're one person away from knowing everyone in this town because it's just like
It
somebody I know knows somebody
yeah,
else, and
especially at Seawee, it's
right,
already
right, right.
a small community of outdoorsmen, you know, outdoor enthusiasts, whatever you want to call it, that tend to frequent that kind of place. So it's really easy to meet someone new and then find out that you have 3 or 4 people in common that you both know.
Yeah, and I met up with Corey, the whiskey and wildlife guy, and I hung out with him most of the day, and then some of his guys were there, and then it was just crazy. It's like everywhere we went, we knew somebody or somebody would walk up, and it was a great time. I'm glad I went.
Nice.
Of course, I shouldn't have bought a 3-day pass, but I guess it was cheaper than buying 2 one-day passes. So,
Yeah, it is.
but yeah.
Well, cool, man.
Other than that, I've just been working, and then I've been making mead. Still started working on one of the car in the garage, and we've been spending a lot of our time researching what I guess would be conspiracies, ancient stuff about the ancient past. And it's
Yeah.
just like every time I turn around, I'm like, it's so hard, man, because it's like there's so much to talk about. But every time I
Mhm.
watch one of these shows, I'm like, dude, that links back to this. And it's like I've
Yeah.
come up with a bunch of crazy theories in my head,
Yeah.
and I
Have you
thought they'd be fun.
have you come across any of those, they're so overwhelming because I haven't done enough research on the topics that are in them, but it's those giant mind maps where it's like it'll take each of the, these different types of conspiracies or events, um, or whatever, and it basically makes connections to all of them,
Yeah.
kind of like what's tied to what through who and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It'll make your brain explode if you try to take it all in at one time.
Well, that's the thing about like the ancient civilizations and stuff. And then you start learning about a different one, and then you start
Hmm.
seeing similarities between the two. Like one, like, the Easter Island, those heads that stick out of the ground.
Yep.
They excavated one, and it was like a torso, went all the way down to like
Yeah.
the knees. And so
Yeah.
the hand markings on it are like this, like holding the hand.
Hmm.
So tell me how that's in, for those that don't know where Easter Island is, if you were to go to like San Diego and go straight south to Argentina, that's where Easter Island is. It has nothing to do with Egypt or anything else. It's like literally in
Right.
the middle of the ocean off the coast of South America. But at Göbekli Tepe, when they uncovered all these things, all the statues have the same fucking hands, the same ones, like holding in the same position. And it's in Egypt. I mean, it's all over the place. And then the Anunnaki thing, like with the pine cone, which they say is the pineal gland, but the pine cone's everywhere. It's on like the Pope's staff.
Hmm. And
But
it's
they
one
had
of
these.
those.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I'll say that with those bags. So like they're usually holding this bag and then they're pushing out with this pine cone thing, and nobody knows what it means, but it's in every single ancient civilization has it. Every single
Yeah.
one.
And
How?
Easter Island is I believe, is one of those sites that, when you look at the globe and you look at all of these historic and significant sites, and they all line up like geometrically,
Yeah.
on the globe. This is
Yeah.
one of those sites that falls in that same line. It's really weird.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
I knew it was. That's why I brought it
Oh,
up.
okay. I was
When you
trying to
mentioned the
make it
33rd
look like
when you mentioned the 33rd parallel, I recalled something, so I googled something really quick, and I was like, I think this is what he's talking about. So
the
when you
30th
brought up
and the 33rd, but I was
when
going
you
to start with 33.
yeah, and then when you brought up Easter Island, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah. So I was going to start with 33.
Yeah.
So it's known as the master number. So it's 11, 22, and 33 are like the God numbers, and
Hmm.
11 plus 22 is 33. But anyway, every single religion has the number 33 in it. Every single one. So like in Islam, it's called a the Deeker. They're the beads. They're
The
prayer
prayer beads.
rituals.
Hmm.
There's 33 beads in that,
Right.
and then there's like different things they say like and Hinbala, like glory to God, or Alhamdulillah, praise be to God, or Allahu Akbar, um, La ilaha illallah, there's no God other than Allah, all those things. It's also in Islam, it's considered to be the age of enlightenment
Hmm.
once you turn 33. In Hindu, like Krishna, the main Hindu dude, he died at the age of 33. There's 33 deities in the Vedic text. And Judaism, like even the star, it's 3 points. It's it's two triangles put together.
Three.
So three
Yeah.
points, 3 points, 33. Their Lag BaOmer festival.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just like there's so much. So like even in Christianity, Jesus died at 33. The Basilica has 33 chapels. A certain like Noah, for instance, he's mentioned 33 times in the Bible. And Masonry, the 33rd degree is the top that symbolizes mastery. It's associated with like pursuit of personal and collective betterment.
Hmm.
And then like the 33rd parallel. So this would be if we're speaking of our Earth as we know it now, like the climate that we have today. The 33rd parallel is where the Tigris and Euphrates are. Susa
Hmm.
in Iran, as well as Ebla in Syria. Like those are all like the cradles of civilization. They're all in the 33 parallel. And then if you go back, so if you look at it, like what's interesting about it is the 30th and 33rd parallel are like the most habitable places,
Hmm.
right? So like the Earth wobbles. So in that wobble, the 30 and 33 have like today it's the 33rd, but it used to be the 30th parallel, but it has the most constant temperature.
Right.
So which today is 76 degrees is the average on that
Hmm.
parallel. So back then it was 10 degrees colder, so it would have made it 66, which would have made imagine Charleston being all the time 10 degrees colder. It'd be like winter. We would actually have real winters.
Yeah.
And then, like Michigan and Canada would be under ice, like the
Right.
ice sheets that we know about existed. Um, so if that happened, the 30th parallel would have been the most sustainable, and that's where Egypt is.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy. But also, like almost every ancient site is on the 30th parallel.
Hmm.
It's just so crazy to me, and it's a third of the distance between the equator and the North Pole. It's just like it creates a sunny zone and pressure, like high pressure, which would have been perfect for
Right.
growing food and all this stuff. It's like there's a reason that everybody's on the 30th parallel, and I just attribute that to there was a civilization back when there was an ice age. I mean,
Yeah.
what other reason?
And the parts of the world that are like Egypt that are surrounded by desert were not always desert. That
Right.
part of the world was a thriving, not I don't think it was a jungle, but it was not a desert.
They said it was like a savanna, like a bunch of grasses and
Right.
just like good area. Animals live there.
Yep.
It's just weird,
It is weird.
especially when you look at like the way the pyramids are laid out. They're laid out to match the Orion belt. They're kind of
Mhm.
like they're staggered in that way,
Mhm.
and they called it Heaven's Mirror, and so it mirrors a constellation from the ground. So they would match a star, and they believed, or it was true, that it created gateways to these places.
Interesting.
But when you like look at the math of the pyramid, that's crazy too, man. Like it was called an Egyptian cubit. It wasn't like an inch, but if you start doing the numbers on it, for instance, it was 8-sided. If you were to go to every corner of the 8-sided pyramid and draw a straight line out to where they
Mhm.
touch on the other side of the globe, it would touch more land masses than any other location on the planet. So if the pyramids were anywhere else, it
Hmm.
wouldn't work. It's also 1 to 43,200 scale of the Earth of the Northern Hemisphere. So if you were to scale it up 43,200 times, it would fit perfectly. It would touch the equators and the North Pole. It's perfectly aligned to north. It's
Weird.
within 3/60th of an inch. But the axis shifts, so maybe when it was built, it was probably perfectly aligned. I mean, why would they have it off that much? Which would date it way back.
Right.
It's so crazy. It's 1
Man,
in
that's a lot.
25 million of the polar diameter of the Earth. The cubit is. So
Yeah.
if you look at the cornerstones, each cornerstone, it would translate to 365.24 cubits, which is exactly how many days are in a year down to the quarter of a day, which is why we have leap years.
That's wild.
If you multiply that base by that number, you're
Mhm.
within 174 miles of the circumference of the Earth. The pyramid inch times 10 to the eighth power is the amount of speed that we fly around the sun. The measurements of the sides add up to the rotational spin of the Earth. The height is a dimension of the polar diameter. I mean, it's like I just And everyone's like, oh, it's where they just buried kings there. You know, they've never found a pharaoh in there. Every pharaoh's been accounted for except for like 2, and they were after the pyramids were built. They've
Yep.
never found any pharaohs in the pyramids. So clearly they weren't burial chambers.
No.
It's just like I want to know, and there's no way to ever know.
What are some of the theories that you've dove into in terms of what they're used for? Because the one that resonates the most with me is the energy,
Yeah, I like that one.
and the experiments they did with vibrations
Yep.
inside and how they resonate different vibrations throughout.
Yep.
And a lot of people think that a bunch of the different chambers that were throughout there were meant to be like decoys to where things were buried or hidden, but I think they may have played a bigger role from an acoustic standpoint.
Well, they found like what my favorite theory, I think, which somebody made like a smaller scale of it and proved it. I don't know how we
Oh,
could prove it, but underneath it was this massive chamber that had water in it,
mhm,
and there was some kind of vibration, whether it be from the earth or they had something in there that created the vibration. But it would move the water in a way that it would move the vibration up into the different chambers of the pyramid.
mhm,
And inside each of those chambers was like there's signs of certain types of chemicals and gases that were in there, and
interesting.
then they probably created. But it's like granite is like computer chips. We would not have computer chips if it weren't for granite. You know, they
Right.
pull the silica out of it. So it's
Mhm,
like a lot of the computers we have today are basically made from rocks. So I don't think that it's super crazy to think that they figured out how to use a certain type of stone to create energy. How they
right.
did it, I don't know. But like the red pyramid, for instance, they've proven that that was used to make uh I can't remember what it is now. But the guy that actually invented it, he learned how to do it from going to that pyramid. What the fuck was it? It's some kind of gas that like
Oh,
you don't want. It's
oh,
but it still smells like it today. It smells like urea,
fascinating.
but it's not urea. I can't remember what it is.
I had no idea.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's just like they have to be way older than we think they are. And what they're used for, we'll probably never know.
Probably not.
I've got some
But
cool theories though about like Earth in general. Oh, another one I was thinking about. I've been thinking about this. I don't know the math on this because I don't understand math or the speed of light. But like, I guess traveling, man, there's so many. Like, I started looking at simulation theory, and it's like, well, then one of the reasons is like if you travel at the speed of light, it's impossible. Like you can travel 99.99% the speed of light. Like that's theoretically possible, but you can't travel at the speed of light. And it's like, why? Was that a parameter put in? If this is all simulation, then we can't do it. But if
oh,
you
maybe
were
so.
to, time is different. So if you left
Right.
here, like for instance, the star map thing. So say we were going to go to Sirius, Orion's belt,
Mhm,
and so if you were to get to 800 light years away, so if you were to travel there at near the speed of light, it would be like 22 and a half years for you to
right.
do that, and then that to go there and come back.
Yeah.
But when you did that, 1600 years would have passed on Earth.
Yeah.
And then you
So
start looking at the Sumerian tablets about the kings list. Like some of these kings ruled for 15, 1600 years. And it's like, were they here a year and then they like
right.
flew near the speed of light and came back and then that they were still in charge, even though it was 1600 years later?
It's crazy. That would make sense.
This is what my brain does like all the time. Drives me crazy. I also like the theory of, this is the last one. I'll stop rambling, but I like the theory of, that Earth is like a training ground, like a spiritual training ground.
Oh, yeah.
Like
W
first time I saw it was this lady, and she was saying that she could astral project, which I don't think I believe in that, but whatever. Interesting concept. But she was saying that Earth is like a school. It's like an alien school, and it's one of the hardest schools. So if you want to be like super good at life or whatever, you would go to the Earth school, which basically you would
Interesting.
be born and then you live 120 years, and you got to figure out, you got to reach like enlightenment. And so
Mm,
there's like obstacles here, like religion. Like people get into religion, and then it's like you die as a religious person, you start over because you didn't learn the lesson. You didn't learn
yeah.
to think for yourself. I'm not saying that I believe this. It's a very fascinating thought. But you would basically choose Earth as a school, and you don't remember anything, and you live your life, and you try to be a good person. So you end up being like a piece of shit and die. Guess what? You start over, like try
Damn.
again.
That
But that would
sucks.
explain why there's so many people in the world, man. Like there's billions of there's so many people.
Someone
Like, the
needs to
Earth's getting crowded.
yeah, somebody at the registrar's office needs to pump the brakes on,
Yeah.
new students.
What if they just end all of it? There's like, "You know what? We're just gonna end it and start it over because there's just too
S
much
Space
history."
Space Doge is like, "This is too fucking costly, we're cutting the
Yeah.
program."
Yeah. And then
We all we all just go to bed and that's it.
yeah, one day you're walking on the street, and the next day you're on another planet, and you're like, "What happened?" And then you're like, "Oh, shit, I totally forgot I signed up for that school."
Like, what's going on here? I have an appointment in 20 minutes on
Yeah.
Earth.
But it's like they would explain, like, when people die and they see, like, the white light, maybe that's
Yeah.
you, like, ending the simulation and going back to the
Oh, yeah.
planet that you were at. It's
Damn,
crazy.
how irritating.
People also there's a theory that it's a prison planet where the
Oh,
souls
shit.
you're, like, sent here to learn how to be a good person, and then you have you're here until you figure it out, and then one
Huh.
day you live, like, a good life, and then you're like, and then you come back.
Hmm.
I like it. It's, like, my favorite belief or my favorite theory.
Yeah.
Simulate what's it called? Conspiracy.
Or as I like to call them, oh, fuck, what's the word? I forgot. Damn, I lost its muster there, didn't it? Shit, spoiler alerts.
Yeah, spoiler, you're an alien, and you're here in a school, so change your life today, be a better person. Don't be duped into politics and
Don't believe everything you hear or you'll end up with VADES.
yeah, none of this is real. If you get tricked into one of the many temptations of Earth, you will have to start over. You should die alone in the mountains somewhere at complete peace and tranquility. And maybe that's why like monks exist because it's like they're like we'll give them monks, so they're
Maybe
not
they'll figure it
figuring
out.
it out. So
Yeah.
we'll put it's like hey, there's monks everywhere. Maybe
You had examples, but you chose
yeah,
you chose whiskey and whores, so
yeah.
shame on you.
That's why I also like all this ancient stuff because it's like maybe they're all puzzle pieces to like the cheat codes of the game. Like you research it all and then you
Yeah,
finally come up with like this, like you figure it out and you're like, oh, I don't know.
it's all fascinating to think about.
Yeah. But that's what my brain does when I'm not working. Like when I'm driving, it's pretty much I'm just thinking, or I get in a sauna and like 20 minutes flies by and I'm like dizzy because I've just been sitting there thinking about
You're gonna
what
have a
is the
heart attack
meaning.
one day, one of those things.
Yeah, I think the meaning of life is to just have freedom and be a good person, have freedom. Like that's
Yeah,
the I don't know. It's fun. Speaking of freedom,
it's a
I
good plan.
finally talked to the builder yesterday,
Yeah, how'd
and
that go?
well, I thought for sure because he was like, "I need to talk to you," and I was like, "Fuck, he's going to tell me he can't do it." 'Cause it's been proving. I'll give you this advice: anyone trying to move out there, Gus, or anyone else, keep in mind that like I don't, we know it's the second poorest county in the nation. We know all this stuff, but you don't realize what that means. That means there's no one there.
Mhm.
So to get people to come out and build, not a lot. You're gonna have to make them drive in from Lexington, which means it's going to cost even more.
Yeah.
So it's like if it's really I'm having a hard time, but I got a guy that's squaring me away, and yeah, he called yesterday and was like, I think I'm pretty much done with the finalized plan, and like I'm working inside your budget, and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And he was like, I just need to know, like, do you want this? I'm like, dude, contractor grade everything. If I want to upgrade it, I will. I don't need tile in the bathrooms. I don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll install tile. But the only thing I care about is a big fireplace and a nice kitchen. Outside of
Yeah.
that, but I think we're gonna do concrete floors, like dark gray, polished, and then just
Polish them, yeah.
utilize rugs.
Yep, that's what I wanna do. The only thing that I think I would if it's within the budget and it's an expensive thing to do, but before laying that slab, I really like the idea of whole home heated floors.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that, but not. It's. Have you looked into how much that costs?
Yeah, I know it's incredibly expensive.
I'm gonna be spending money on that, but I can't afford to finish it, so I'm just gonna have the tubes put in,
Mhm.
and then they'll pour concrete over it, and then the tubes will just terminate outside,
Yeah.
and then
That's a
a
good way to
couple
get
years from
started.
now, I'll figure it out.
Because when I saw it, I was like, the guy was like, I have the control box and the kill switch and everything for the water is in my garage. He said, since it's in here, I went ahead and had them lay the pipe or the whatever it is, the PEX throughout the garage and my driveway. So when it
Yeah,
snows or anything like that, it all his shit thaws and he doesn't have icy driveways and shit.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a rock driveway. But
Oh,
I'm gonna have it outside, and I'm gonna instead of doing like I'm gonna do it like a car radiator. So it'll be like a fireplace with a check valve, and then once the temperature of the water surrounding the not it'll be like a think of a barrel, like a
mhm.
burn barrel, and then another barrel on the outside, and the water will go through that in coils.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
once that water reaches a temperature, it will open a thermostat, and then heat induction will allow the heat to pump out, and it'll bring new water in,
Mhm,
and just let it run. And what I've read is if you do it that way with a big enough heat exchanger, but it would only be like a 4-hour burn, and you
mhm.
would get the temperature up the water temperature of the floor up to 85 degrees, which would radiate the house, keep the house 85 degrees, and
Yeah.
you would only have to do 4-hour burn a day.
Wow.
So I was thinking I
85
could
85 would be hot. Like, I don't like my house
I
that hot.
know. I was
So
thinking about
that's
burning every other
crazy.
day.
Yeah, no shit.
Like get up and burn it in the morning while we're doing chores or whatever, and then you come in, it's nice and toasty.
Yeah.
But I'll just have a fireplace for the beginning. But I also want to like do the vents right so that the intake is right near the fireplace so it could suck the
Mhm.
hot air through the house. It's just a lot. I want it to be simple, but I also want it to be certain things done, and that's what's causing the
Yeah,
biggest increase. At the end of the day, it's a pole barn with drywall,
yeah,
but I want a nice fireplace. I want the heated floors, and I mean, I'm going to have a massive rainwater collection system with. I wanted to be able to. I can heat the house without electricity. That's what I
yeah.
want. So the heated floor thing, I don't want to do that on a water heater. But yeah, I plan on going up there in March,
Okay.
like next. I don't know. It depends on whenever he's clearing the land, but I'm going to go up there and just run a chainsaw all day and cut wood and start stacking up wood for the winter.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of show him where he's going. And I'm also getting a good deal because I'm paying cash for the land clearing. So I'm not traveling with that money. Or I don't know how else to get it to him. So I'm just going to stop at a Navy Federal and withdraw it while I'm out there.
Yeah.
I figure I'll get more done with cash than I would, check.
Probably.
And it's like one of his first um, things of the year. So I'll be able to set him up with a nice stack of cash for 3 or 4 days of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me know when you're gonna do that. And then we talked about it. I'll take some time off and come hang out, and we can move wood, and if
Yeah,
you want help.
I'll take it. I think Chris is going to come too.
Cool.
He's been wanting to get out there and see around. But also, like one of those days, I want to walk in with Onyx, and I want to mark exactly where the property is on Onyx because it doesn't come up on the map,
Yeah.
which I'm glad it doesn't. But you know how it is back out there, like
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
who owns the land and nobody knows.
Right.
But I do want to go out there and mark it just so I know exactly where my land is. So it'd be walking the whole property, which would probably take a while. You know how thick it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not easy navigating.
Yeah.
Are you gonna eventually put together and actually clear a good trail up to the top of that mountain? You're just gonna leave it hard to find.
Yeah. Eventually, there's a lot of things I want to do, and it's like I gotta figure out what order I want to do it in. I think one of the one because I'm back to this ancient stuff, like the star alignments of like Stonehenge and things like that.
Hmm.
I do want to do that, like somewhere near the house, build like a mini Stonehenge where like one faces the equinox and one faces like the summer equinox, the winter equinox, and like the longest day of and
Yeah.
then just kind of like map it and make it. I was thinking about doing like concrete pillars with basically a bolt on top, so I could add like wooden, like an owl or something, and screw the
Yeah.
owl onto. So I think that'll be fun. I'm gonna build a tree house. I wanted to build like a star observatory somewhere. A lot of things I want to do.
Just
Do
gotta
that
prioritize
instead
it.
of yeah, do that instead of wasting money at a bar or something, going out to eat. Just do that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that it's. I was really nervous and he was going to call me, but it looks like he was just going to tell me that he's good to go. I thought he was going to be
Nice.
like, I can't do it, so I was a little nervous.
Yeah, it seems like because of where it's located, that you might get a lot of that. Like people who Roger up and then realize, oh, I got to drive 2 hours
Yeah,
for a week of work, twice a day. Yeah, I'll just cancel.
I think I'm also going to end up doing a lot of it with him because there's some stuff he's like, I'm not going to be able to get somebody to come do that because I want
Yeah,
to do it myself. And he's a contractor, so he knows how to do a lot of this stuff. But I figure whenever he runs like the power cables, I'll come in there and run them through the walls and stuff. Just do small things to help.
it'll be good to help and have have an intimate knowledge of what's
Right.
going on, with things, what's behind drywall. Because you buy a house, someone builds it, you don't know
No
if
clue.
someone put a fucking nail right through a cable,
Right.
or not a nail, but they use those staple guns to secure wiring sometimes, and like you get some idiot in there that's been drinking all day, putting up framing, and then they're trying to, you don't have any insight into it because all you see is the pretty exterior. But
Yep. The other thing too
and
is what?
no, your turn.
You dick.
I've been waiting to say that for
I
so
know
long.
you fucking have. Fucking you got me. Um, I'm sure they call it that. That's good. But yeah, my turn. He was saying that one of the hardest parts about hiring people out there is you don't know who a meth head is.
Yeah.
Like, so you hire a guy to come in and do something, and
Yep.
then you come back and all the wiring's ripped out of your house. There's no copper
Fuck.
left. And he's like, it happens all the time. He said one of the best stonemasons in the world lives out there, and he's like, I won't let him touch my property because he'll come in there and do it and come back that night and steal everything
That sucks, man.
to buy meth. It's like,
Yeah, that sucks. My uncle has run a company doing metal fabrication and so building stuff exactly like what you're building. Um, and he said the same thing. Like he hires people out there and they'll walk up to the job site reeking of alcohol or clearly drugged. And he's just like,
yeah,
get the fuck out of here. Don't come back.
yeah,
It's because if they're not stealing something, that they're a liability to him and everyone else out there, especially if they're using machinery or anything else. And it's like there's no space for that.
right. And I don't judge people for using meth, but if you're a meth head and you're stealing shit to fund your hobby, that's I got a problem with that. I don't want you in my house.
Yeah, no doubt. Are
It's been
you
interesting. Do what?
Well, I was gonna ask if you were because we were talking about running cable and stuff like that. Are you running Cat 5 or fiber throughout the house, or are you just gonna stick with Wi-Fi?
So I want to have like a closed circuit camera system
Mm-hmm.
with like an ups and everything. So if the power goes out, the camera still work.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible I run some of it, but I mean most of it's just Wi-Fi. I'm not really worried about it. But I will have stuff out in the yard that I want to be able to have internet access.
Right.
So I'll probably have like in each corner like one of those little dome
Yeah.
360
Yeah.
cameras, and then
Yep.
a Wi-Fi extender out there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the plan
Nice.
anyway. I don't want it to be. I want the house to be super easy. I don't want it to be where I'm 70 and I'm trying to go up there and change a cable and I got to traverse over. So that's where a lot of the money's going in. It's just like the things you won't even see,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
like
smart.
access to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It should be fun. It's yeah. I mean, we're gonna have. I think we've decided we're gonna get a personal protection dog mainly for her if I'm not home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, That's actually a fun conversation, because there's a bunch of different kinds. We've had
Yeah.
Dobermans and stuff before, and we've been going through them like Rottweiler, no, Anatolian Shepherd. Yeah, that'd be cool, but there's really more of a livestock dog. It'd be
That's what
cool
I
to have
want.
another Doberman. Well, Anatolian Shepherds are great if you got livestock.
Well, for livestock, yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
want.
but what we ended up deciding is between a Doberman or a Pit Bull or an Amstaff, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me that the problem with Dobermans is like you can train them in shut hunt or whatever, they're protection dogs. But if you send them like seek and they go out and they find something and they start biting, if that person stabs them, a Doberman will probably let go and run away. But
Yeah.
where a pit bull, like that dog will die for you.
Right. Right.
So as much as I'm like, I don't really want to get a pit bull. If you think about what you need it for, it
Sure.
seems to be the correct dog.
Yeah.
Because I
What
definitely want a dog to die for me. That's the whole point of
what were
it
the
being there.
pros and I mean, when compared to a German Shepherd or a Belgian, what were the deciding factor? Was that it? Was it the fact that they will literally go to war and die for you? Was that the deciding factor or
Yeah, and I'll get hate for this, but I just am historically not a fan of German Shepherds, and uh, meat missiles are just they require a Malinois. They just require so much working, and I mean, my neighbor has one, and every morning that dog pulls him on his bicycle, and they do laps every morning, and he does it
yeah,
every evening, and just trying to tire that dog out. I don't
yeah.
want that kind of responsibility. I want a dog that like is pretty chill, but if I need to send it, if there's someone on the property, I can be like, I'm going to release the dog.
Yeah.
They don't say anything, then dog goes out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because
That's cool.
there's no police. I mean,
Oh,
I
I
can't call
know.
anybody. There's no police.
Yeah.
There's no sheriff. There's nothing. So it's a lot of holes in Jackson County.
Yeah.
as they say.
That's hard for people who've grown up and constantly been around a city or a municipality, or even
Right.
a rural area where, you know, sheriff's 10 minutes away.
Yep.
This is not that. You
No.
can call 911. EMS is gonna be 20 minutes,
Well, there's
15
no cell
minutes
phone
maybe.
service, so if the power's out, I can't call anyone.
Right,
It's
yeah. But law
that,
enforcement, half hour if you're lucky.
well, like the guy that the whatever the sheriff that
Mhm.
lives over there, they work business hours. Like they're there 9 to 5. I mean,
Right.
that's it. If
Yep.
you need them at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're sound asleep in their bed.
Mhm.
There's just no funding for a police force. They don't have it. They have like basically a guy that you can go and file complaints to,
Right.
and he'll send it to the magistrate, and then you have your day in court. But
So, you need to be prepared to defend yourself and your family and
yeah, that's why the gun discussion is so crazy to me. It's like, yeah, you don't need a
100%.
gun in New York City, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. But out there, I mean, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, the only
Not
people
and
that are going to come on the property are people that mean you harm,
yeah, and
flat
out
out.
there, like, honestly, the two-legged predators are probably more dangerous than any of the four-legged ones you're gonna run across because most of them are more scared of you than you are of them.
Yeah.
So bears, mountain lions, whatever's out there that would be considered a threat, whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of living out there, but yeah, it's the two-legged ones. If
Hmm.
if there is someone on your property, especially where you're at, if there's someone on your property who's there unannounced and they don't present themselves immediately with I'm so and so with so and so, like they're immediately a threat in my head because like
Yeah.
you had to go way out of your way to get to where your house is, and if you weren't invited and you don't recognize them, immediate red flag.
There's 4 adults and 2 children that live back there. That's
Yeah,
it. There's no one else back there. So if
right.
it's not one of them, I mean, they have zero reason. There's no reason for them to be in there. I
Yeah,
won't have an address like a. I mean, I'll have like a what they call a 911 address that you need for power hookup, but I
right,
won't like. There's not a mailbox. It's not like Amazon's going to roll up in there. And I mean, there's just
right.
nothing in there. They're
Yeah,
not coming in there, especially if we decommission that road. Then there's
yeah. That'd be cool if
really
you
no
can get
reason.
everybody on board.
And I mean, I think because there's national forest back there, like I'll probably see people on side by sides. I'll probably see hunters during hunting season,
Yeah,
or the guys that go out and collect mushrooms. Like possible, But
sure.
where I'm building a house is so far from the national forest that there's literally zero reason for anyone to be there.
Yeah. What's the
So
closest? Have you figured out the closest access point in the national forest where
yeah,
someone could park and then walk to your house, and how long that would take, or how far it would be?
so between without giving it away, between the
Yeah.
property that that's there and the property I bought,
Hmm.
in between those two places, there is an access point for the forest.
Okay.
It's very small, but it's there. And there's an old forest road right there that isn't used anymore.
Oh, I've never even
You
noticed
could
it.
do it on a side by side. I'm
Yeah.
sure you wouldn't notice it. I mean, it doesn't look like, I mean, it's a
It's probably
closed
all
road.
overgrown. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That makes anything that even with the public, open roads, if they're overgrown like that, people are less likely to want to use them. So
Yeah.
it just
The other
defers
thing I
scares people.
thought about doing too is making like, I don't know what they look like, but like those witch stick things, like
Hmm.
that witches make in the, what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the pentagrams with out of sticks or whatever. I
Yeah.
thought about just like telling the neighbors like I'm not a warlock or my wife's not a witch. They're just putting them up as a deterrent. But I
Yeah.
thought about making a bunch of those and just hanging them around the perimeter that touches the national forest. That way,
Yeah.
if people are in there and they're like, oh shit, this is all some witchcraft stuff. I don't want to go in there,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
as a deterrent. But it could also be the opposite. It could be, well, I figure most people in that area are probably Christians, so they probably would be like evil. I'm not going in there.
Probably.
But if you were to get like a guy that's doesn't believe in anything, maybe it would make him curious and come in.
You should plant some motion activated speakers that would say something real creepy or whistle.
Oh yeah, like a
Because
very common name.
well,
I
yeah, because
mean,
Appalachian folks are real leery of what do you call them? Those spirits that can look like humans
yeah.
in the Appalachian Mountains. They'll call your name or whistle and try to get you to come outside.
Well, there's like you don't want if there's a saying like if you heard your name, no, you didn't, and
No, you
and you're
didn't.
not
Yeah,
supposed to whistle in the woods. You're not
right.
supposed to make yourself known. You're supposed to be quiet because if you hear anything, it's like, don't turn around because the cryptids are out there. They're going to get you, you know? And I like it. And I'm going to adhere to those things just because I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting
There's some
concept of
crazy
life.
stories about it. People talking about, I went outside, I saw my dad, he was out in the shop, I saw the light on, I walked out there, then he wasn't out there, and he
Yeah.
had called me out there, he called my name, and then my dad called me from the house and asked what I was doing outside and to get inside, and
Yeah.
he told me right then and there that, if unless you know it's me, if I need you at nighttime, I will come into the house and get you. I will never yell for you across
Yep.
across the property. And I was getting goosebumps listening to
Dude,
this dad's like recollection of how scared he was. It's like
it's a
that's
real thing.
that's crazy, man.
And it's the thing about it is like people go missing all the time.
Mhm.
And so it's like, that's where a lot of these stories come from is like the
Sure.
cryptids took them or whatever. But the fact is there's a lot of caves out there. There's a lot of sinkholes and people just
Yeah.
fall into them and they're gone.
Yeah.
But, could also be that there's cryptids out there kidnapping people.
Bringing them down into the caves for a snack.
Yeah. That's the other thing too is down there by that river where those caves are.
Mhm.
Dude, I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna put a camera, like a motion, like a trail camera, to
Yeah.
see. Were you with me when we went in the one and I was like, oh, there's shit right here. I don't want to go any further.
And the only one I've been in with you is the entrance of that really big one.
Oh, the big one. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a smaller one before that. Before you cross that river, there's
Oh,
a
okay.
smaller one up on the hill there.
Oh, okay.
And it's shaped like a cathedral almost. It's like a spire that goes up. It's beautiful. I'll show you
Hmm.
next time we're there.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put a camera there and see if there's any animals in there. If there's not, I'm gonna commandeer that place. I'm gonna go
Make
in there and put like a bed and like some food and supplies and like water filtration systems or whatever, and I'm gonna block it off. That way, if the world ends, I'm literally, what is that, a quarter of a mile? I'm a quarter of a
right.
mile from living underground.
Yeah.
I
That'd
think
be a
it'd be
cool little
fun.
hide. Yeah. That'd be a cool little
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
So many options out there. So many cool things you
I
could
know.
do.
Yeah. I think about it a lot. All
I would
kinds of
too,
shit.
man.
I think I'm gonna start a YouTube page for the wife, and I'll like film it and edit it all. But I thought about she's gonna be mad. Cheers. I was like, we have to find a way to appear to the male psyche, like, because that's the predominantly who's on YouTube. So I
Right.
was like, what we'll do is, how like certain chicks wear, like not revealing clothes. They're like covered up, and you're like, huh, wonder what, you can't see her butt. So you're like, she have a nice butt? I can't tell. And it's
Right.
like, not that you and I don't, we've never cheated on our wives. That's not what it is. It's just the male brain looks at the female body.
Yeah.
So if you find a way to make it so you can't see it, it creates intrigue, right? So I thought coveralls with a black wife beater,
Mhm.
and I'll just cut every scene where you can see cleavage. But it's like people will be like, "God, I can't tell. Does she have a nice rack or not? I just can't fucking tell." And they'll keep watching it, waiting for the moment for her to bend over, which is crazy that we're like that because there's little free porn everywhere. But watching a chick on YouTube, you're like, oh well, she's shoveling shit and playing with chickens. So I'm gonna have her just
Yeah.
like doing nothing, just hanging out. But I'm gonna have like a 24-hour live stream of the chicken coop, which is why I want one of the Wi-Fi extenders.
Okay. Nice.
So it's like 24 hours a day you can see inside the coop, and then in the morning when the gate opens, I have like a solar powered gate. When the gate opens, it'll switch to the outside. You can see the chickens just mulling around. Nothing.
Yeah.
But I got the idea because I went to a dentist office and they had a bunch of puppies on a 24-hour live cam of puppies.
Yeah. People eat that shit up, man.
They eat it up, and it's stupid not to
Especially
do it.
inside, if you can rig it to where there's sensitive mics and pick up
Mhm.
a little scratching and like the ASMR stuff, dude, people will
Yeah,
just sit there and live stream it, and then you can pop the occasional ad in there, and you'd be probably raking in all kinds of money on that
I
channel.
know, and so I'm thinking about that as a subsidized income thing, but also like the Stonehenge thing, like
Mhm.
on the equinox, I could live stream the sun coming up. You could see it come up over the
Oh, yeah.
pillar, and
That'd be cool.
there's just like so much stuff that you could film that I think people would be into. But I want to do it different. So I've been watching a lot of them, and I've been taking notes. Like, this
Mhm.
is what they do. We're not doing that. We're gonna
Right,
do
right.
something totally different.
Yeah.
But also like the controversy. Controversy is a money maker.
Always is, man.
Just do it the wrong way, piss a bunch of people off. It creates comments, which generates views, which generates replies,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
dude. It's a common tactic in almost anything I see
yeah,
online, like, doing something purposely wrong and not addressing it, just going on about your business, or, like, I saw one the other day where it was a girl that was advertising something, and she did, like, a somersault to get to the camera, and when she did, it looked like she had shit her pants. She
Yeah.
doesn't address it at all, but of course, the comments were full of like, "Are we
Did you
not
just
gonna
shit
talk about
yourself?
this? Did you
Yeah.
just" and all these jokes, and I was like, "It's brilliant." Even though it's not the kind of like, it's not engagement directed at the product, it's
Mhm.
pushing this video to more people.
Mhm.
It's smart.
Things that you can share. Now I thought
Yep.
about like, um yeah, I forgot. But yeah, doing things like that. Just like, oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like the algorithm itself is
Mhm.
is created by that. So like when they place
Right.
ads, the whole way they place ads, when you open Instagram, you'll see like your front page, and it'll be like something recently posted that you follow. It's there.
Yep.
If you keep scrolling, it'll just be stuff in your feed. And but if you go to the explore page, which is what almost everyone does, very few
Mhm.
people stay in their feed. You hit explore, you start searching, you'll be like, oh, I like this is a car video that I love. This car's got 1,200 horsepower and it blew the dyno up. That's fucking sick. Next, burnout video. Next, cats being funny. The
Yep.
next one will be something political that I don't agree with. That I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it creates an emotion because I'm
Yep.
happy, and now I'm like, why is this in my fucking feed? And then the next time you swipe, it'll be an ad because you're emotional, and people that are emotional buy.
Yeah.
And so if
That's
you can
smart.
create that in a YouTube algorithm, and people
Mhm.
are like, well, why don't you do it? Why doesn't Whiskey and Whitetails blow up? We purposely don't do that. This isn't about blowing up. This has always just been us having fun. I
Yeah.
know how to do it. I just don't.
It's a lot of fucking work too.
Right.
It's not the kind of work that we started Whiskey and Whitetails to do. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It's,
It definitely became something neither of us thought it was going to become. It was supposed to just be bullshit, but I mean, I'm
yeah.
thankful for it. I appreciate everybody following along.
Yeah.
I wish we get more comments. Tell us what kind of shit you want to see. If nobody says anything, well, the last video we did was on aliens, kind of. So the Anunnaki, and there was a bunch of responses on that. Oh, also, I wanted to bring up. I didn't research the numbers, but the tinfoil hat thing, because
Oh,
Drew
yeah.
said it on a comment, and then somebody said incorrectly what the tinfoil hat was, which is fine. But or maybe they were close to being correct. Either way, the tinfoil hat, the guy that invented it, well, I won't get into that because that's hearsay. But anyway, tinfoil itself, whenever you stack it and make it thicker, it blocks certain RF bands and it increases others. And so, for those that don't know, I'm an RF engineer, so I'm not. This is actually in my wheelhouse. I don't remember the exact band, but the bands that it block are like pretty much everything. The
Mhm.
ones that it enhance are the same bands that we use in satellite technology to move through space. That's interesting.
Hmm.
That a tinfoil hat increases your ability to receive the RF that we use in space, the shit made for space. It increases that and it
Interesting.
decreases everything else. I thought it was fascinating. I looked it up one day because I was like, what is the point of a tinfoil hat?
Do I need one? Do I need a tinfoil hat?
Because I was thinking about like, I even heard Joe Rogan say it, that like, oh, nowadays, earbuds are bad for you.
Yeah, I heard that.
I'm gonna give everybody a hint. There's a thing called ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation is what causes cancer. It fucks your cells up. It's what microwaves use. It changes the molecular structure of your cells. Non-ionizing radiation doesn't do that. That's why it's called non-ionizing. So if you were to look at the non-ionizing band, the majority of it is cell phone tower. Like 5G is a non-ionizing band. It's not creating COVID. It's not causing anything else. But your earpod, same thing.
Yeah.
Now, am I saying that they're good for you? I don't know, probably not. But they're not cooking your brain. They're not giving you tumors. It's not physically possible. It's like saying a 4-cylinder naturally aspirated motor could run a 9-second quarter mile. Like it's just
It's just
probably
not
not.
gonna
And
happen.
we'll just keep adding in a 10,000-pound car. It's not going to happen. So it's just physically not possible.
That's good to know.
I think it's great to know because that's a lot of my Instagram feed is women bitching about.
Radiation from
Yeah,
things.
from things that you're not getting.
Yeah.
Here's the problem: if 5G was ionizing and it caused molecular damage, we would all be fucked
Yeah.
already. It would have cooked us like quick.
Right.
Like everybody would have cancer within like a month. I mean, it would have.
Because people don't realize that like that radio frequency is not just going directly to my phone and to the tower. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Also, people don't realize that a cell phone is a radio. There is a transmitter in here, and it's
Yeah.
got to be pretty damn strong to reach a cell phone tower that's how far away? Line of sight, say it's
Right.
a quarter mile away. Your phone is transmitting pretty heftily, but it's in the non-ionizing band. Just having it in your pocket. If it was an ionizing thing, if it just having it in your pocket, and we're back. Sorry, I said something that I decided to strike from the record.
Stricken.
Yeah, it was nothing offensive. It was just literally. I probably shouldn't have said it. It wouldn't have upset anyone. You would have all found it very fascinating.
But now you won't.
No, you won't because you're not gonna hear it. Good times.
Yeah.
What else? I know what we were talking about, but I don't know what we were talking about before I said what we had to remove.
Um,
Yeah, don't worry about
oh,
where
we're
you
talking about it, we got there from tinfoil, talking about tinfoil hats and what that
yeah,
whole thing meant. So,
simple hats. You should also look up, for those that are bored, look up the guy that started it. He I haven't verified this. I heard it somewhere, but he apparently had an actual transmitter in his head that was installed by the CIA. Like he planned to do this. So he created a tinfoil hat to stop the communication when he wanted to like do things he didn't want the CIA to know about.
that's wild.
And again, that could be complete bullshit. It's just I heard that a long
I
time
also
ago.
wouldn't be surprised. Like
I might
it's
just pull it up.
we're at that point in history with learning things. Nothing surprises me anymore.
No.
Nothing.
Okay, so it was true. But it was a short story by Julian Huxley. The main character wears a metal hat to prevent mind control.
Oh,
Okay.
that's funny as shit.
Yeah. So it was a book. It wasn't true.
Yeah,
But that's where it came from. So
I
where it
choose
came from was true.
I choose to believe it's a true story.
Yeah. Now I kind of want to look at what frequencies are enhanced by a tinfoil hat. This would take too long because I don't trust Quora to answer the question.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But yeah. Oh, the other thing too. You ever heard of Dwarka?
What? No.
So it's a holy city that's like from India, like in the Hindu text,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
the sacred city of Hinduism.
Hmm.
Um, but it was said that it like sank into the ocean,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So they found it in like 1930.
What?
Yeah, I
Where?
didn't even know this. It's off the coast of India, right where they said it would be.
No shit.
Yeah, and they like excavated it between 1983 and 1990 or something. I think they stopped in 1990, but there's just an entire city down there
What
under
the
the
fuck?
water.
That's wild.
Well, I mean, what's crazy about it is that would have been before the ice caps melted, which would have
Yeah,
been, a
makes
long
sense.
fucking time ago. Right back to where we started.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's fascinating. It's also huge. It's the size of New York City. It's not like it's a fucking building. It's a massive place. I
What?
think it was like 80 kilometers square or something.
Wow. I'll have to look
Yeah.
this up. That sounds fascinating. Like, I'm curious how complete, like, is it just like rough shapes of buildings or they're like
Oh no, it's there. I've looked at
still like
pictures of it.
whole
There's like
buildings?
stone pillars. I mean, a lot of it got blown over when the water came in,
Sure.
but and then like it was part of Sunderland. That's another great rabbit hole. If you've liked any of the conspiracy stuff we've talked about, look up Sunderland and then look up the people of Mu.
Mm.
There's apparently like an ancient civilization that existed in America, the people of Mu.
What?
But be careful because it also gets into some really wild conspiracies that basically nothing before like the 1800s is real.
Oh,
Like
Lord.
they rewrote our history and just started pushing it out into schools, and none of it was true. And so a lot of these buildings, like for instance downtown, where there's like buildings built in the 1700s, it's crazy architecture, so beautiful. And they're like, yeah, they had no way of doing that in the 1700s. So it's actually part of this ancient civilization called Mu. There's videos of the
What?
White House that like they've when they were adding that tunnel underneath it and reconstruction of it. There's videos
Yeah.
of that, and they're like, see, the White House is fucking way older than you think, and it was part of this, but really, I mean, that's not true. So don't go down that rabbit hole. I mean, it's fun to look at, but it's fun, man. I like that we don't know and we never will know, and mainstream archaeology hates it, and the people that are into it, most of them are exaggerating points to make a point.
Yeah,
I just
dude.
love it. I love it.
Mainstream archaeology really does not like this stuff because
Mm-mm.
it busts up so much of the narrative to what they teach, especially like at a fundamental, you know, paleontology 101.
Yeah. The other thing too, like, that a lot of people argue is carbon dating.
Mm,
It's one of my
yeah.
favorite topics. I had a conversation with a relative that was like, carbon dating is bullshit. It's like, well, it's not. It becomes inaccurate at a certain point, but I don't remember
Sure.
the age. It's well, I mean, for like, I don't know, at least 500,000 years, it's pretty accurate. And once you
Mhm,
get into millions of years, they're like, yeah, between 20 and 30 million years ago. Yeah. But the way it works is like we breathe, we take in carbon
mhm.
as we live. Anything does, like plants, all of it does. And it becomes part of you. And then when you die, that carbon starts to
Right.
degrade, and there's a half-life. And so basically they can measure the potency of the carbon and see how long ago it stopped living.
That's
So
crazy.
it's very accurate, and they have carbon dated stuff. I mean, 20,000 years ago that 100% was made by humans.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure it was our version of human, but who
Made
knows?
by bipedal dudes and gals with thumbs.
Yeah. And then the other option is like, pick your religion,
Yeah.
whatever religion you believe in. Then that God created all of it just to fuck with us. That's the other. That's the other. Or it's all simulation. But it's like you can't prove any of those three things. That's what makes it fascinating. Like, I'm in love with it. I love it. I know you got to go.
No, it's all good. I'm, the whole that's the one thing that I think gets everyone hung up is all these different things, and everyone has their one that they kinda wanna cling to, but deep
Yeah.
down, I think they all know, like, I know you wanna believe this, and that's great that you do, if it helps you, but you know you can't prove it.
Yeah. And they're like, you can prove it because it's how I feel. It's like, no, you just disproved it. I'm totally fine with. I have no problem with religion. It doesn't bother me. I don't think about it when I go to sleep at night. I don't care. I was very religious for a long time. Went to seminary. Uh, Ended up in jail. But either
It's
way,
maybe it was the maybe jail saved you more than seminary would have.
it did. And I was still religious until Afghanistan. It wasn't until, I don't know if we've ever talked about. Probably not, because we don't talk about religion. But
None of the
my
podcast, but you and I have talked about it.
yeah, I know you and I have. But like my first thought was like, I'm looking at all these Muslims and I'm like, how many Christians do you? Because I was a Christian. I was like, how many Christians do you know? They're like, none. There's no Christians here. How many
Yeah,
Muslims do you know? And I was like, none. There's no Muslims. And then I started thinking, huh, they're a Muslim because their parents were a Muslim. I'm a Christian because my parents are Christians. And then
totally.
it's like, you're like, okay, so if I didn't choose my religion, you didn't choose yours. Why are we, let's
Right.
talk about religion. And you start talking about it and you realize most Muslims know just as much about the Quran as most Christians know about the Bible.
About the Bible, yeah.
And I was like, let's put this together. And just through life, some of the worst people I've ever met have been super devout Christians. And
And both parties rely on people who are supposedly educated and know more about that particular religious text to teach it
yeah,
to them.
like an
And so
imam or a
so
preacher.
they are at the mercy of however that individual chooses to interpret that thing and teach
Yeah.
what's in it.
And that's why those two religions will last forever, because they change with time. It's like Christianity, for instance, the Bible's pretty clear about a lot of things. And then, the Pope comes in Catholicism, the Pope comes in and goes, well, we're going to, that's not what God meant. And I know because I talked to God yesterday and he told me that's not what he meant. So we're going to change it. And so as long as you can change religion, um, it will continue to evolve and
Yep.
become. I mean, you got to remember, dude, 500-600 years ago, they were burning. They were no, actually, that's funny too. The Salem witch trials, they never burned a single person.
What?
Never happened. They
Oh,
hung like 19 people and they crushed one dude to death with stones and the rest of them died in prison. They never burned anyone.
huh.
But the
Well, there goes
victors write history, I guess.
I guess so.
I don't know how I was going to relate that to religion, but oh, that's what it was. It's like, nine. But
Just
today you can be a practicing
changing it.
witch
Yeah.
and no one's gonna. You can be a pagan today and no one's gonna fuck with you.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, because religion evolves, and so as long as it continues to evolve and keep up with the times, it will always be there. It's never
Right.
going to go away.
It's a fascinating world.
I did see. Did you see the red heifer thing?
No.
I didn't really research it, but I know that in the Book of Revelation it talks about the second coming of Christ, and
Mhm.
there's they have to rebuild Solomon's temple, and then they sacrifice. I don't remember how many, like seven. I think seven red heifers, And so Israel just imported 7 red heifers from Texas, and they're planning this to rebuild the temple, and then they're going to sacrifice these bulls at the temple, and that's supposed to be the sign of the second coming of Christ, as far as Judaism goes.
They're trying to push it themselves.
Yeah, they're trying to make it happen themselves.
All right,
but
we're done. We've had enough of this shit.
But no one online sees it that way. They all see it like, see, the prophecy is coming true. It's actually happening. It's like, the 7, and red heifers aren't
7
even that
heifers
rare.
aren't just fucking magically appearing. Like, God isn't just like,
Correct. They bought them from
and
Texas.
here they are. They're coming from rancher who probably got a fat stack for them too.
Right. 100%. You're telling me you want these are the Bible heifers? Okay. Well, the price just went way up.
We keep our Bible heifers right over here.
Yeah.
Come on over.
You're telling me you're going to kill these things and then the world's going to end? Okay. Well, I need to sell them for enough money that I ain't got to work till that happens. When you going to kill these things? Oh, you got to build a temple? So we're talking 15 years. All right. 15 year now.
Who's building it? I got a contractor. I know a guy.
Right. I know a good stonemason. He's a meth head, but
he'll steal all your copper, but
God damn it. So much fun. This is basically, for those still here, that is basically a normal conversation Gus and I would have anywhere.
More or less. Yeah.
Yeah. We probably would have went a little harder in the paint on religion and politics, just talking shit, but
100%.
But outside of that, that's pretty much what we talk about. And that's what childhood relationships are for. Anyway, all right. Yeah, I think we're good. We did an hour of straight bullshit with no intro, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad.
I would like it if you would put like something in the comments, like tell us what you like, just the conspiracy theory, anything. We don't care. I'll talk about religion now. I don't give a shit.
We'll talk about whatever. Or guests, if you're interested in trying to get a guest on. Even we haven't done that in a while.
I will say we're at the point now that we could probably get any guest we want because we have a track record of a lot of podcasts. 200. This is episode 210, so we have a track record of 210 podcasts, which most podcasts don't make it past that. There's only 4,000 active podcasts.
Really?
That post regularly. 4,000.
Well, look at us.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, there's millions of podcasts, but the ones that actually continue to go, and there's only 4,000 of them.
Did not know that. That's fascinating.
I thought it was very interesting. All right.
Well,
we got
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, baby, say you love me. 5, 6, 7 times.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Shoo. All right. That's all I got. Waypoint Network, patreon.com/whiskey and whitetails. And also, I'm going to do, because I've got all this liquor now that I need to kind of get rid of. So I might start doing some Patreon giveaways. We'll see. Cool. I think I'm going to.
Nice.
Yep. So if you want to get on that, it's I think $2 a month is. I think $3 is a month that gets you the Discord.
Yep.
So $3 a month. I'm going to start doing it here soon.
Nice.
And it's going to go through the summer. I might do a bottle a month until I move. I think I'm going to. You know what? I'm going to do a bottle a month starting this month. No, starting March. Yeah. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. 8, maybe 9 months of giveaways. And you know what? We might throw in some turkey calls, some duck calls, some Glencairn glasses, some cigar rests. We might just throw in some shit. You know what? Yeah, we're going to do it. So for the next 9 months, we're going to do a giveaway every month on Patreon. If you want to be involved, you can literally join for $3, $5, $10, $20 a month and be put in. Pretty good risk for reward.
It is. Don't miss out.
Also, if anybody wants to buy a 2020 diesel particulate filter from a Ford F-250, let me know. It's LTG. That's all I got.
Anyway.
Drinking whiskey.